Hey, welcome back to the UCS Director training. It's Module 7, Introduction to Workflow. This is probably the most important part of the UCS Director because this is what makes it very powerful. So long we are talking about, how do you deploy, then, what is the VM deployment. There's a kind of specified way you can do that. You can also do it from the workflow. So workflow gives you the flexibility and, your power to do any way you'd like to manage your infrastructure, as long as it can talk to your end device through API, through SSH, through your any other way, so they can communicate to this end device, send the instruction what it needs to do. So that's the place workflow. It comes with a kind of huge built-in tasks. And then you can make on top of that, it's based on JavaScript and Cloud script. So task library is the biggest component of this workflow. So all you can do is drag and drop and make the things work. Before I jump into that, so when you need something to put in the workflow, so first thing, what you're trying to do has to work without the UCSD. It has to work manually. Like say, if I'm trying to deploy a UCS server, I keep referring to the UCS because my background is UCS. But if you are a networking guy, feel free to kind of correlate to that one. Like say, if some task you need to do, that has to be done, manually first. Like say, if you want to deploy a Windows server or a ESX server, if you cannot deploy that manually, so UCSD cannot do that. So you might want to check that how do you do manually, test it out, and then try it in the your UCS director. One of the case, the customer was trying to deploy certain version of Windows that's not supported even on that version of the blades of the UCS. They keep failing at driver, it's not there, okay. And then finally it found it's not even compatible. There is no compatible version to that. So you have to make sure that before you come here, so your manual process works. The working manual process we will transfer into the workflow in UCS director. And the task is like what you do, like say for Nexus switch, creating a VLAN is a task. Create VLAN task. UCS, making a service profile, create service profile is a task. For storage, creating a LAN is a task. So for VMware, making a port group is a task. So each task, maybe the process task, like say getting approval, is a task. So there are 2,000 plus tasks available in this 6.0, and it keeps adding every time. So all those tasks you can just drag, and the place you want to put it, you can put it, customize that, and then let it working. So I'll show this is the basic one. So I'll just show how you do a manual process into a UCS director. The two things are input and output. So you give the input to that task, like say if you are creating a UCS service profile, what are the inputs? You need a name, right? And you need to know that which UCS you're going to set it up. You need the account. You also need the which org it goes. If you're a UCS admin, you know that what are the inputs you need to create a service profile. So that's why as a UCS admin, you need to work with the technology experts, how they do that, and then try to convert into that. You don't have to know each and every technology, but you'll have to work with the team, the experts of the team, understand the process, and then try to convert here. Output is like if you're creating a service profile, that will give you a many things as output, like maybe the name of the service profile, WWPN number. So these outputs can be used as an input to the next workflow. So if you are creating a service profile, that task is complete, and you have a service profile name and everything, then you need to apply that to that a blade. This output of this input can be used as a so this output of this workflow can be used as an input of the next task. Again, I'm going to show that, so that probably make more sense. And there's a designer, beautiful in a GUI. You can just drag and drop, and then you publish the workflow to a catalog. Same thing as publishing catalog to the a VM. Exactly same thing we do. task library. So that's what it's talking about. So 2000 plus, and this is what it looks like. So I think it's all JavaScript and Java based. You can make your customized task. You can clone any of the task and then go for customization. I would have one section for customize. I'm not a developer myself, but I can show you the way that how you can take it from there. And it has also a rollback capabilities. Each task has a rollback capability. It means like if you deploy UCS your server, or you kind of create a VLAN or create a LAN, the rollback action will just reverse the task what you have done. So it will clean up the mess if it is there. Again, automate manual and labor-intensive operation tasks. Something you do over and over. You don't need to do that. You can probably put it here. Again, something for consistency. If you do some typing or some click button, there's a possibility you are tired, exhausted, or someone new. So if you put it there, it's consistent. Every time somebody is executing this is exactly the same way. You can follow the best practices, to work with the experts and make a workflow, and then can go from there. Complex workflow I'll cover in another session. Creating a workflow. It is best if I show on the demo, but okay, let's go to the demo. So here is a kind of scenario workflow. Number one task, I'm going to create a UCS service profile from a template. And then task 2 is kind of service profile creating doesn't consume any resource, but if you want to get a blade, that you need some kind of approval. I'm assuming that you need the approval. And the email goes to the approver, and then the approver logs back into the UCS director and approves it. As soon as he approves, the next task starts, which is like associate the service profile with a blade. And the next task may be creating a LAN and then power on the UCS director. These are the 5 tasks we have. You need for manually you do in your environment all the time. So you are an UCS expert, he's a NetApp expert, and there is some managers. 3 team is working here. But you want the operations teams to execute the whole thing when somebody requests for it, or maybe the user requests for it. So as soon as user requests it, the whole thing will be done at one shot. So as a few things, as I said, task library, input, output, schedule job, and rollback task. This I'll cover. A schedule job is any workflow. You can schedule it. Like say you run a script of a Unix box at midnight every day, or you have made a complex workflow out of that. He does this job, backup, and blah blah, those things. Then you make a schedule out of it. Okay, every day at some time it will run. It's like a cron job. So let's go into the UCS director. Same UCS director. So all the workflow is created here. This is gonna change in the future version. This is a very important part. Every time you have to go policies, orchestration, policies, orchestration. So orchestration is spent a lot of time, and this is the place. Task library. Let's start with the task library. So this is the list of tasks available at 6.0. So you can the tasks like NTP server, DNS server, resource group, container, Epic container. Okay, let's search for UCS tasks. UCS tasks. There are people coming from UCS background. You know that what this task means. Power on, power off. All these tasks is available for you out of the box, just to drag and drop and make it work. And also now, if I search for Epic task, Cisco Epic task. So there's a big list of tasks available here. F5, it's third party. So there's a list task here. So these are the tasks is available for you to do drag and drop and make the workflow. Now, before I start doing the workflow, I would like to show, if you're not kind of familiar with UCS, so what you do in the task I just showed. So this is the UCS manager. This is where we'll work. So I made a those who are new, like there's a kind of sub org here, UCS director training. So whatever we do it here. So we don't kind of step into any other's foot. And their equipments, basically these are the servers. These are the service profile templates we are talking about. It's a kind of virtualization of the hardware. So you have all the information that a server needs, but really there is no server in the service profile unless you add to a blade. And then LAN, SAN, VM, storage, admin, those are usual stuff. So we don't need that right now. So if you want to create a service profile, so you come here, right click, create a service profile. So you can go from there. You have to fill up all the information here, and then you should be able to do it one. And other one is best practice is get a template done. Use all the brains available, expertise available, and make a template. Once the template is done, you can do it from here. That's way all the service profiles are consistent. And if it's updating, then you can change here, and then everything will be changed from there, right? So we have a template here, which I'm going to use for making this task. If you see this, there's nothing much interesting here. Storage, you got two VHBAs, A and B side, network cards. There are 4 network cards, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could have whatever you need. There's no iSCSI here. Boot order, this is important. So we start with this pexeboot. As I said, like this is for the bare metal provisioning that will go into the complex stage. So probably right now it's okay. We don't need to worry about it. And there are other policies. So from here, the creating service profile is a very straightforward thing. Like you just create service profile from template. Right click. So UCST demo 1. So how many of them? Suffix starting for 1, or you could choose anything, or maybe just make 1. So it just creates a profile right here. So if you see that it has added at 1 after 1, so that's what UCS does. UCS does. So every time there is a service profile you create, it assumes you may be creating 20 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is keep adding. It does it. So, and if you put a space in between, it's gonna fail. So you have to know about how the UCS works before you try to automate that. So there's no blades here. It's just a a thing, and then you get an approval, and then you can associate to a blade. Once you get the approval, you can do from here, right click, change service profile association, and then you can choose a blade, which blade you want to do. There's a pool, existing server, or or you can choose an existing server. You can choose any one of them, or you can choose a pool. I'm not going into that, so I'm going to delete this. I did not choose any org, so it just goes into root 1. Delete. So it's gone. So similar task, same task we're going to do from the UCST. So if I go back to the UCS director, add workflow. This is where I start. Give a name like UCST demo workflow 1. It's a good practice to just write down what you are doing here, like create a SP template, SP from template. So next guy who comes, he probably knows that what it is done without going into details of the. I'm not writing now here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You can kind of write all the tasks you're going to do that. It's kind of housekeeping. Why do you keep? I have a folder. SA Jalal. You could make a compound task. If you make a compound task, this task will be usable as a task for another workflow. So if you make 10 of them, you make a compound task. So this will be showed up as a task list, and you can just drag and drop and use. The other one is selected VM. So this is non-VM kind of workflow. You could have a VM oriented. Maybe you want to run a script, cloud-based script or something, or Wix script. So that will be selected VM. Notification, if there is kind of, you can put a notification here and version number also. Next. This is where you make the inputs. Remember, like I was talking about, if you want to make a service profile, you need a name, right? Service profile name, like a VM name. So you can get it. The admin can give it. Okay, this is the name. You just take it, or you can take a user input. Like once trying to execute, it pops up and say that okay, this is a service profile name. Whatever that is typed in, it kind of goes. Or you can also put options. Like these are the options you have, like a list of value. You can just take that. So for now, I'll just go for the next. I don't do anything. Output. You normally don't do anything output here. Output goes to the next workflow. Submit. As soon as you're done, there's a nice your kind of painting spot, like is a graphics here. So you're going to add all the tasks I showed on that task list. These are available here. Kind of categorized into what you're trying to do, which technology. So for UCS, there is one. So it's so big, so they kind of it's physical compute. Then you can go to the UCS tasks, or you could also search service profile. So I'm looking for create service profile from template. Create service profile. You guys probably already seeing it, right? Clone service profile, create service profile from template. So this is what it is. So this task, it says that what the task does, and all I have to do is drag it here, and then it tells you that what the details you need here. If you're a UCS engineer, you would know straight away that what all you need here. As there's a template, so most of the information is in the template. You didn't need to provide it yourself. But if you're doing from scratch, you need to fill up all the information. You can put any comments, like any kind of customized comment, rather than create service profile template, creating a template service SP for SQL Server, something like that. Next. Okay, here is the place. This place is very important for a workflow. You can map the user input to the task. Like as I was saying, like for service profile, you need a name of the service profile, right? So you could take the input from the user and then put it here. And also you need how many of them you're going to do, which org it goes. UCS has an org structure, and which template. Of course, you need the template name, right? All these things you might not take from the user, and you can go ahead and type it here. You could do that. What is the prefix name? Create a single service profile, so it will not add that plus button there. Then you kind of browse the org here. So I'm going to do on UCSD training here, right? Then you need to choose the service profile template, which template you are. UCSD BMA template. Now I don't want this one to go manually, so it's kind of static thing. Every time you do, it's getting the same name. That's not practical. So let's go back and give the user an input. Like I want to add the user input here, and this is mandatory field, so you have to give this information. So you plus sign. And what it does for you, it kind of selects the input type. The input type can be different. Like this is just a text input. It could be IP address, VLAN, many things. Tenant names of the ACI, VNX name, VMware. There are built-in all the input types available. So this is just generic text. So and then this is the thing will pop up in front of the user. Say service profile name. And the interesting thing is you can use that as a variable for subsequent naming convention. Like say some of the company like to have their zoning or LAN name based on the host name. So you could just on the LAN name you can put a variable that $, then curly bracket service profile name, exactly the same thing without anything else, and curly bracket, that's as a variable. And you can give it hints. Remember, or during the time of I'm trying to put some your IP address, static IP, it gave an input like, okay, hey, do that, like, just 192.168.1.1-192. So that's the way it should. So you can probably give a hints like, okay, the name is like, sp dash SQL dash xx. He will see this one. The user will see that, okay, this should be the name. Or you can write anything to give him a hints that what should be the naming. That's one option. Or you could make it optional. You cannot make it optional here because this is mandatory. Admin input. So admin input, you could just type in. I don't care like what you think, but you put a variable here and that will be every time taken. And also you put an admin input and you can give the option, you can change it. So that also you can do. Okay, for now I'm not going to do all those stuff. And multi-line for if you have a, more you need more lines to put your inputs. Okay, done. That's service profile name. You have to make sure that what you are asking it is here. Sometimes if you have multiple of them, you might pop up with this another one, so you have to select the right one. Next. So that option is not available here. So only thing you need the org and the template. You could make it from the from the user if you want to. So let's try this. Okay, now go back. I'm not going to go, just I'm going to show that how do you do that. So organization. So okay, now I'm trying to add a different type of data, which is UCS organization identity. UCS org. And then admin input list. It will provide this input to the user, whatever available, and he can choose any one of them. You can also do that. You can also filter. There are 100 of them. You can filter them. Okay, whatever the name starts with, stid 01, they should be populated. So there are many things you can do here. For now, I said, okay, let's put it here. Keep it this way, and then submit. Okay, sorry, you have to give a list of which one. I'll give them an option UCSD training, and this one maybe root. Okay, done. Just to make it more fun, that's all. Means you could do the same thing for the template also. Done. That's it. After that, you don't have to worry about the outputs. Whatever it comes out from here, it'll go for the next one. All right, now we have our service profile template. First task is ready. Next one, I was talking about the approval, right? So let's go to the approver. Your service profile is ready. I could multi-user approval or single user approval. For now, I'll just keep single user approval. And this is nothing, just point to your management approval. So you could come here, select the approver. So that approver has to be an account in the UCS directory, otherwise he can log in and approve that. So I'll just put user 1 as an admin, or maybe user 1 as an admin. Anyone can be actually approver. It doesn't have to be the admin, any group, anyone, any business user. So I'll put this one as an admin, and that's my email address. So I'll get the notification through that email. Okay, now how do you connect? This part is important. So how do you connect these two? So you just on success, you connect to this one, and failure, it fails here. So all of them has to be two input, either success or failure. Now you could do if loop and those kind of stuff in advanced stage. It can be very, very complex if you want to. And if this happens, then go to this one. If this doesn't happen, then go to that one. And this is just a basic one. Next task, I was talking about creating a service profile, and then after you get the approval, you assign to a blade, like associate. We call it associate service profile to blade. Associate UCS service profile. That's again, this terminology is important. As a UCS admin, I know that's what it called. For a ACA admin, he might say something This is what you call to create a application profile or EPG. Or storage admin might have a different way of talking, so it's kind of important to work with them that what exactly the task. Maybe the task is there, you really don't know that it is that do the same task. So associate UCS service profile. So here is a very interesting thing will happen here. So if you don't do anything, you have to select that which service profile you want to do that, you want to associate the blade with. So you have all the list of the service already there created. And also you have to give the blade, is it a pool or is it a single server? So here it doesn't work because in the last task we have created a new service profile, and in this task we are going to assign the blade on that service profile which is just created. So you can map that input, the one we just created, create service profile template, that task, and that gives the server profile. That's output of that task. You kind of map it. There may be many of them. You have to choose the right one, that which one it goes with that. And the server is, we kind of have a pool, include a server. I think I would just go for the pool. There is a pool there I created, include server pool. That's easier to manage. So you can see here, UCS training, there is 2 unassigned. It's important that it's not assigned, or if there's both of them assigned, that it'll kind of fail right there. So it's free, and I select that one. I don't want to have a qualification policy. These are not mandatory. Next, and you don't worry about the output. Done. Same thing, you just drag and drop here. Okay. Next task was creating a LUN. Okay, in this one, it has nothing to do with the LUN. I'm just showing how to create multiple, technology together. But I have a kind of session on boot from SAN where you need to kind of map this output of the WWPN number of the service profile to the SAN zone, and then SAN zone make your LUN on the storage that based on that SAN zoning, and then based on that you kind of have a disk for the server, and based on that you kind of install the operating system. So that's kind of chain, but this one just for demo, create LUN. LUN so NetApp on tap thing. Okay, let's create LUN. So now when you choose that, you have to make sure there are different version of NetApp, different version of your, they might call differently. So you have to make sure that you're choosing the right one. Okay, sorry, my battery was going down. So if you don't do that, then you might not be able to see what you expect here. So I'll just go for the next page and see what it wants. So it needs a volume. I will choose maybe a SAN boot here. Again, you need to talk to your storage guys, so just to make sure why you are creating this. And LUN size is maybe 5 gig. And LUN name, here it comes that name of that variable service profile. So I will put something like $sign service profile name. So this one, if you remember, that's the input I was getting from the user, and that was the name of that your string, generic text input. And this is the where step is beyond. This is needed for the storage. They can choose what type of your volume you need. So next, submit. So why do you want this to happen? This happens at the end. Okay. Once this is done, you have to validate the workflow. The validation is nothing but just checking the chain is okay. Like we requested for creating a service profile and assign a blade. If we don't select the blade, service profile name, then it will fail, saying that okay, you did not give any name of the service. While I'm going to assign the blade means it doesn't make sense. So, and then you can execute it. right here for as an admin. So if you remember, service profile name is UCSD demo. As I said, there's no suffix would be added because I kind of opted for that. Maybe 20, just. And which one I need? I will go for this one. This is what as a kind of user will see this way, and then submit. Once you do that, you can show this what's happening here, and you can also go back to the UCS director, sorry, UCS, and see that if see this one, there's a kind of straight away there's a pop-up of UCSD demo 20, and it is unassociated. There is no blade to that. Now, if you go back here, you'll see it is kind of done, and the next stage is it is waiting for the approval. So, and the log goes pretty good information what exactly happening, what the information it has from the template. And see, this is the email I can see on the right side, the approval required UCSD. So if I click on that, this is a kind of format, and you can customize that. So you say that, okay, if you click that link, actually it's pretty much it's taking to the UCS director to you. So there's a service request. This is what you want. It needs its approval, and this is a service request number. Now, if I click that, it's gonna go to the same browser. So I don't want that. I kind of opened it in a different browser. So let me go back there as a user 2. Okay, here is the approver was user 1. Sorry, user 1, and then all right. And then there is an approval section, and then there's a pending approval for me, and approve. And you can also see which stage it is right now. So once it is done, then I can go back here, can refresh, and it will start your kicking in from here. Now, one thing I want to say here, that what all was created. So user approval needed, input output tasks. So these are the whatever the, if this is a kind of simple task, but there may be 20, 30, 40 tasks here. So all the information what this UCS is doing, you will get it from here. So it's initiated by admin, then UCS service profile template, which template, which was name prefix, and then org identity. All the information you'll get it here, and even the WWPN numbers. So it can be helpful for troubleshooting. Like if you are trying to look for the zone in the SAN switch, there are hundreds of them. You can probably search by this grep for these numbers, and then approval sent. It kind of takes time to refresh this one. Okay, sorry. That my bad. So I did not press approve. I just came here and go there and move back to this one. So you have to approve it here, and maybe you can put it in. Great job done. Something like that, So you just approve it, and then I can go back. Now I would see it should refresh, and it goes immediately. So this one, that goes immediately, and then it start associating to the blade. Now if I go to the service profile, now let's see, this is in config state. Those UCS admins would know what it's doing right now. So if I go to the server details, you would say there's a blade here. It's kind of associating to this blade. It does a cool job of does 57% association is done. So once it is done, you'll see there's a blade there, and it's ready to do the next step, maybe install an operating system or whatever you need to do. So that's kind of UCS basic workflow. I will do after it is done, maybe just rollback. So I'll put a pause and I'll come back later once it is done. You can go the service request in organizations and service request, and then the top one, UCSD. So that was a spelling mistake, UCSD. So it's doing the service profile association right now. It takes around 4 or 5 minutes. And once it is done, we will kind of finish it a rollback and it'll be gone. If you're a AC admin, probably next one I'll probably also show a bit of ACI. And then exactly same thing, there is, once it is doing, let me just show you, there is a orchestration. This is probably an application profile for ACI. So exactly same way, I just drag and drop here, and just stitch all the tasks. Here it's just ACI task, but you could put anything in between. And if you click that, it will create a service profile. Application profile with EPGs and bridge domains and everything. And then you could make it as a catalog. So when you do the catalog, then it goes to the user. So I'm just checking the status right now. So whatever UCSD make changes to the environment, it knows it. But if you make it, outside UCS director, before running the system task, then it would know about that one. So in the meantime, we can do is catalog. Then we're trying to create a catalog out of that. This is advanced catalog, as we discussed in the last session. UCSD demo workflow. Create UCS SP. That's too big, right? Okay, create UCS SP. You don't need this one. Create UCS SP, UCS SP search profile. Workflow is a kind of, there's an icon at the bottom here. That means an icon, and then you kind of publish it to demo tenant. And yeah, which folder you would like to do that, advanced, or you can make another folder if you want. Next, there's nothing much here, and which workflow here. Demo workflow 1. You have to choose the right UCSD demo workflow 1. That's the one. Okay, the catalog is published. Now if I go back to my as a user, here, advanced, so create UCS SP, right, this one. So if you click on that, catalog type, you don't have any option, anything here. Service profile name, remember that one. So if SP name, that's my daughter. So next, and it'll do exactly the same thing. It's, remember this kind of option that which one you want. Account name, this field is required. So which one? We put this one, select, and then next, and then submit. So this is how you go through the catalog, and that's how, as an admin, you kind of choose that. Now let's go back and see what is the status right now. It's complete. So I would not go into whatever we asked him to do, it is done. So you can also go to the your UCS and check that is done or not. Yeah, that's complete. And that's the blade 1/8. Now I'm going to roll back. This is a kind of demo. I don't want that to hang on. Just get rid of everything what we have done. Again, this is I think 3 tasks only we have done. If it would be 20 tasks and somewhere it failed, say it makes a zone, it makes a LUN, and you want to get rid of all of them. So it can be very difficult to go each one of them and kind of remove them. So rollback task. Whatever is created, it'll show up here. If you want to keep something, you can choose. Just click it, submit. Now it's doing the opposite thing, what it has done so far. In progress. So initiate by admin, approval, and I'll go back to my Firefox. Then find out approvals. Pending, select this one, approve, approve. Once it is done, then it would start the next stage, and just wait. It has already gone. The blade is already gone. There's no blade here. So, and if I 1/8 or something, associated, I think 6 or 7. Okay, this one I think 6. So this is config. It is kind of getting unassociated from that you're removing. So that's in short a very simple workflow, and this is how UCSD can help you automate your daily tedious task which you want to get rid of, and also for consistency, and hand over to someone who's not that experienced like you, can do the same job, and also kind of bring all the teams together in one spot. Next one, I'll cover the bare metal agent, which is required for the complex workflow of making a boot from SAN. The reason boot from SAN is an example of complex because they have involvement of many teams, like UCS team, SAN switch team, your storage team, VMware team, and also there's an approval involved. So all these teams work together to make a chain of work and get a very complex thing done pretty quickly. So hope you'll watch that, and feel free to leave your comments. Thank you very much for watching.